Alright guys, it's Ben and Jimmy here with Southern RC, and we've had some requests to do some waterproofing videos. Let y'all know how exactly we waterproof our RCs. So we're going to start out and show you some of the things. Got some grease here. Marine grease is the best thing that you can use for them. But I just went with the cheaper thing. It works just as well in my opinion. It's 100% waterproof, you know, so that's always good. And we got the plasti dip, the most important thing of the process. That's what we prefer to use. So we plasti dip all of our electronics down in it, and it seals it off real good. And then we're going to be using a balloon in this video. Show you how to waterproof your electronic box where all your switches, you know, plug in. If you don't want to do the plasti dip around it, make it permanent or nothing, you can always use a balloon. That's what we're going to do, because we're not quite finished with that electronics box just yet. So what you're going to need is a balloon and a couple zip ties, and we'll show you that in just a minute. So let's see. O-rings, you're going to need 2 small O-rings. Actually, you need 1, but we need 2 since we're doing 2 RCs. You're going to need an O-ring for that steering servo, and you'll be good to go with that. It's also a good thing to use this marine grease for your rear end and front end. Your bearings, all your bearings, you want to keep those good and clean. I mean, these RCs are expensive for a reason, you know, and they require some upkeep. So it's always good to keep everything nice and lubricated.
Except for the HPF.
My buddy Pat requested that you know, I do this video on waterproofing a Wraith. I mean, all these RCs, especially Axial products, the electronics are basically the same. So you know, we're going to show you a little bit of both. But you already know the steering servo's on the front. Electronics box is right here up front. You got to remove a bar across here, right across the front there, to get to that box. You get the electronics box out, you're good to go, and the ESC is right on the other side. And that's really all you need to know. What we're going to do is go ahead and get the parts ready to go, get them off of the Wraith fully, and come back, and we'll show you the rest of the process. And so we'll be right back. Okay, well, we're back, and we got all the parts off of the Wraith ready to dip for you guys, show you exactly how to do it. And alright, and if you'll bring the camera closer or zoom in so they can see here, we got the servo right here, steering servo. What you're going to want to do is take the 4 screws out of the back of the steering servo. I've already got those off to save time. So you're going to take the back off, you'll see all that stuff in there. You don't want to do nothing to that. Just pop off the front there, like so. You're going to take one of the little O-rings I was telling you about, and you're going to slide it over the steering servo gear that hangs out the front.
Big long silver piece.
Yeah.
Can't miss it.
And you're going to put it all the way down on that. Alright, and then the thing you want to do too, since you're sealing this up, you're going to put a little bit of grease in there on the gear. Not much though, a little bit will do you. If you put too much in there, then you're going to have some binding issues, and you don't want that.
And then you're going to be fucked.
And you're going to might as well buy a new one. So then you're going to slide the front part back on, and you got to remember how important that O-ring is. Because if you forget to put that O-ring in there and you plasti dip it, it's not going to work at all.
It's over.
Yeah.
Remember, work smarter, not harder.
Alright, so you got to get the wire back in the little notch there, put it down, and tighten your screws.
It might also help before you start all this to smoke you a cigarette before you start. So that way you can focus.
Yeah. When you're using some little cheap Allen wrenches here, it's always best to have a good set of real Allen wrenches.
Now, what you're gonna do the plasti dipping with is the this can right here. It's just plasti dip. You know, you can find it at your local stores. mainly you can go to Lowe's and get it. That's where we go here, our town, to get ours. But if you go in there, it's gonna be over with the paint. If you ask for help, I don't know how y'all's stores are, but our stores down here, I went in there this weekend to try to get a can, and I asked for some assistance, and they act like they didn't know what the hell I'm talking about. Okay, I mean, I don't know if it was the tuxedo I was wearing or what it was, but anyway, I mean, you can get it at Lowe's or just some hardware store. I'm sure other places carry it.
Some Walmarts carry it.
Yeah, some Walmarts do carry it. I know all Walmart only carries the spray-on kind. You do not want to use the spray-on plastic deal. You want to use the kind that that goes on in the pliers. Just good rubber sealant stuff. But that's what you need to use to get a good seal on it.
Okay, right here on the ESC, we got the steering servo ready to dip, as y'all seen. Now we're gonna go to the ESC. Now all the ESCs are the same on these Axial vehicles. So you're gonna notice it's covered with this hard case right here, and you don't want to dip all that. What you're gonna have to do is cut the sticker, this Axial sticker that's around it, and you're gonna take out the insides.
I know some of you might not want to do that, but
yeah,
it's gonna have to be done.
Yeah, if you want it to be waterproof, then
if you want to fuck some shit up, you're gonna have to do it. I'm not saying that in like messing your shit up. I'm talking about like killer videos, okay?
Yeah.
But one thing I can tell you is the HPI, it don't handle too well waterproof.
It didn't last too long.
No. It's made for strictly sticking to surfaces, not water. A little bit after, if you remember the first video I done with it, the waterproof test, it done pretty good. But the next time we went out and filmed with it, it actually got in a water hole and it started smoking. I thought the shit was about to go up in flames, but it didn't. Anyways, the Axial, they seem to do very well waterproofed. It just better equipment, high grade.
The cases are on there pretty good.
Yeah, they seem to use some Gorilla Glue. Shit! What?
Alright, so we got the case off. Put that to the side. You'll need it after the plastic dip's good and dry. Alright, now when we dip this in there, you need to be very careful and not get plastic dip all over these heat fins right here, because that's where the heat is going to come out. You don't want that covered in plastic dip. It's going to wind up burning it off, probably catching on fire, shorting it out,
In other words, just don't, like the steering servo, do not dip the whole thing in there.
Yeah, you're going to want to take it up like this and just dip it down in there, and we're going to show you that in just a minute. But another important thing, the switch. You cannot have that switch. That switch is not waterproof. So what we're going to need to do is strip these two wires out, the black and the red wire. We're going to strip those out, and then we're going to tie them together and dip that in straight in there and seal that off. So what that's going to do is every time you put your battery in, it's just going to automatically come on. It's no big deal. You're waterproof, good to go. So we'll dip that down in there, and then when as soon as you dip it, you're gonna need somewhere to hang it, and you'll be good to go. All right, let's see here. So we're gonna go to the steering servo. Ben's gonna dip the servo, show y'all how that's done, and submerge it in there. Put it up here where they can see it.
And as you can tell, this stuff is very sticky. I mean, you want to be careful just not to get it on you, because it is kind of hard to come off. But as you can tell, it's just liquid until it hardens. But this is a steering servo off the Axial Wraith, the Poison Spider, of course. But like you were saying, it's nothing like this one. You can just, the steering servo, which is in this hand, you can just take it and dip it directly down in it, and it's not gonna hurt it. And you really want to kind of, you dip it one time and, you can let it sit for a minute if you want to, but you really want to dip it over and over just to get a good seal. But anyway, show you how it's done. You can just take it and just sit it down in there nice and neat.
And we will warn y'all ahead of time too that this is very high smelling stuff, fumable,
Yes.
flammable, whatever you want to call it.
I suggest not be smoking.
It's very, very strong, and you do not want to be doing this in closed-in areas. So just a warning ahead of time. Go ahead and dip it in there a little bit further on down the wire. All right, that's good. And you're gonna want to dip it a couple times, like he said, to get it good and sealed off. And you might dip it a couple times and hang it up, come back and check on it, an hour or two. And go ahead and dip it again even. You want to make sure that's good and sealed off there.
It is a very strong smell.
Yeah.
So if you feel a little bit funny after about 10-15 minutes, it'll be okay.
You're going to want to go ahead and hang that up somewhere and let it drip.
And one thing you can really use to help hang it, you can hang it by the wires, but you can take a clothes hanger and you can hang it with a clothes hanger if you just unravel the clothes hanger.
And also, it'd be a good thing to have gloves on when you do this.
Yes.
We don't have gloves.
But as you can tell, that's dipped probably about 5, 6, 7 times, and it looks like that, but after it hardens,
it shrinks to it.
It'll seal all the way to it. And some of the stuff, after you'll notice after it hardens, you'll have to, clip some of the hanging parts off, but that's fine. It won't affect anything. I'm just gonna lay this one down for now.
Alright, now we're going to do the ESC, and like I said, I went ahead and stripped out these wires that go to the switch, and now we're going to go ahead and twist those together. You don't want to do that either.
No.
Not a good idea.
Recommend not to drive after you get through doing this either.
Alright, what we're going to do, like I said, we're going to dip that little wire in there. Those 2 wires, I should say, for the switch. And it's just going to seal that off so that nothing, no water or moisture gets to that current that's flowing through there.
Because that could cause it to, if that gets wet, if you forget to dip that possibly could cause it to short out, mess it up.
And then we're going to barely dip it in there to where it comes up to the bottom of those fins, but not over. At the same time, when you dip it down in there, you want to cover these wires and those capacitors right there. And on this side, you want to cover up the soldered points on the battery wires there. So we're going to dip it in there. And if you do get some on the fins, it's okay. After it dries, it'll peel off. You can scrape it off.
Just try to be careful not cover the fins completely, like you would the servo. Cover it completely. Do not cover the fins completely.
You don't want to fully submerge this part.
So
this one I'm going to let dry, and I'll see what's covered and what isn't.
If you have to, whenever you're starting to dip this one, if you can't really see, by dipping it in the tube, you could, if you got like an old bowl or box or something, you can pour it over that and dip that one, so that way you can kind of see what you're doing better. But it's just nothing major. Just be sure and do not cover the fins completely.
And it's always going to help too if you want to go ahead and put a loop in the end of one of these wires like that. It gives you a point to hang on to something, and you can just hook it onto something and let it hang. But you don't want to let it sit down like this and dry. You want it to be hanging. So alright, now we're going to move to the parts that we've already dipped for you, and we're going to show you what it looks like when it's already done. I went ahead and waterproofed Ben's SDX10G.
Well, that was a sneeze.
Alright, so we're going to start with the steering servo here.
And as you can tell, the difference in this one and the one we just recently dipped, this is what it looks like after it hardens. If you can kind of see, I don't know if the camera will kind of see, you know, up close, but anyways, it seals to it real good. You know, it's just rubber, but it'll seal it off like it needs to be, where no water can get in it. And, you know, like I was saying, some of these little parts, you know, after it dries, some of the little parts will be hanging kind of like icicles. You can just clip those off. It ain't gonna.
Like we said, we're gonna show you the parts from Ben's already plasti dipped, ready to go. Now, the thing you need to remember, the whole thing was plasti dipped, so that gear that's coming out of the front of the steering servo, that's gonna need to be cut. You need to cut around it because you need to get to the
pocket knife, needle, scissors,
sharp blade.
Sharpest thing you got in your house.
It ain't this.
Whatever that may be.
But anyway, you're gonna need to cut around that and get to the metal gear so that your steering servo horn can go on there and grip on it.
I recommend a case pocket knife.
Yeah, or razor blade.
Yeah, or weed cutter.
That'll work just fine.
And see, as you can tell,
it exposes that metal gear there, and you're good to go. All you gotta do is put it on.
Now, what we're gonna move on to now, we're going to show you how this needs to hook up into this little electronics box, and this is the part where it's going to come where we use the balloons. The balloon and the zip tie. You might want to use more than just one zip tie, but right now that's all we got is one. But anyways, two should be fine. Alright, but he's going to show you how to hook it up.
You're going to see on this electronics box, it may not focus that well, but at the bottom slot there, it says STR for steering. You're gonna go ahead and plug that back up. Now, normally if I didn't, or if I had lights already hooked up to it, something like that, I'd go ahead and plasti dip it. But like we said, we're not finished with this, so we're gonna go ahead and seal it with a balloon. Now we're gonna come back to the ESC of Ben's that's already ready to go. You're gonna go ahead and put that back. You're gonna go ahead and put that back in the casing.
The outer shell, you wanna put that back on, as I call it. The axial shell. Shell of life. Starting to get a little bit of fumey up in here.
Yeah, that stuff's pretty strong. Plasti dip.
Look at me, I gotta drive in just a minute. Y'all hear something?
Alright, so you're gonna pop that case back on there.
And once you get that pop back on,
you're gonna take this in, you're gonna go ahead and plug it up to that little electronics box too. You're gonna look for THR, and that's gonna be your throttle control. Go ahead and plug that up right next to the other one. Alright, now you're good to go as far as wrapping this with a balloon. You can go ahead and stretch this balloon over it.
Then take a zip tie after you get all that inserted in it. And I'm guessing the reason why some people say use a balloon, because the balloon's almost the same texture as that plastic up stuff. But it should work, you know, water should roll right off of it, unless it gets a hole or something put in it.
Yeah, you don't want to poke a hole in it as you're putting the balloon on there, then it's kind of pointless.
Because if you do that, all this is going to go back down the drain. Then you take a zip tie.
You're going to go ahead and zip it down low towards the end of the balloon, and then go ahead and put another one up towards the top of it.
As tight as you can get it.
So, go ahead and pull it tight.
Take another one. Put it up towards the top.
And then when you get them tight, you can come back and snip them off.
And after you get that done, you pretty much just be sure there's no hole in the balloon. But after that, if the balloon's good to go, you're ready to start assembling it back together.
This is now waterproof.
And if you stay tuned, we will show you a waterproof test on both of them. And from here on out, now that they are waterproofed, we've been meaning to do this earlier, but you know, now since we got it done, the videos are gonna get better from here on out. I mean, it's gonna be a lot more, you know, It's gonna be water scenes. It's gonna be, you know, what y'all expected and want to see. But, you know, just stay tuned. We ask you to keep watching. You know, subscribe, comment. You know, and if you have anything else you want to see us do, you know, feel free to just, you know, comment on the page or video and let us know. But you know, I mean, that's as simple as that. You know, you just gotta have patience, know what you're doing. But I mean, and, you know, from this point on, they are waterproofed, and it does work pretty well. Because as you've seen in videos with the honcho, it's waterproofed and it's still holding up. But I mean, you know, just we ask you stay tuned to keep watching. You know, liking, subscribing, and you know, if there's anything else you need help with, you know, or if you want us to show you what to do on anything, just, you know, feel free to ask us, and, you know, we'll be glad to do it for you. But, you know, there's gonna be a lot more videos, but, you know, until then, you know, we thank you for, you know, watching. We just ask you stay tuned, subscribe, and keep watching.
We hope this video helps y'all, you know, come to figure out how to waterproof them on your own. Maybe this will help you out a little bit, like Ben said. But on the Wraith here, you take up this top guard right here across here. For those of y'all who do have a Wraith and may not know how to get to that electronics box, this bar goes across here like that. You're gonna take the screws off the side and out from under it and take it loose, and that's gonna give you good access to this electronics box here. I see my electronics box is still in here, and it's ready to be sealed with a water balloon and put back in there. And it's always a good thing too to go ahead and put holes in the bottom of your electronics box. That way, you know, because you can't seal water and you can't keep water out of that box. So once it goes in there, if you have those holes, it can drain right back out, no big deal. And so once that's sealed off, you know, I'll put the box back together and put that piece of framing back on there, and then I'll be good to go. But it's not, you know, too difficult to do. I don't know why there's not a video out there showing this, but all I'll have to do now is put the steering servo back on the front, put my ESC right back there, and I'll be good to go. Like Ben said, they're waterproofed, and the videos are only going to get better from here.
And if you're wondering where all that's located on the Wraith, it's right under the, you know, where the hood would be, and on the Jeep, the ESC, and all the parts that you need, the plastic deal to make waterproof. It's just as soon as you pop off the body, it's all right there, right behind the motor. But, you know, until then, you know, that's pretty much it. We just have to stay tuned, keep watching and subscribing, and we hope that you enjoy the videos from here on out.
Any questions, feel free to ask. The Southern RC, and we'll see y'all later.